And proceedings at the Madlanga Commission got off to a rocky start yesterday. This when the legal counsel for witness F filed an application at the High Court to postpone proceedings. Now, witness F's lawyer, Hartley Ngwato, applied for an interdict at the High Court so that the WhatsApps on his client's phone would not be displayed. Ngwato also brought an application to the Madlanga Commission to postpone the proceedings. And in Parliament, the proceedings of Parliament's ad hoc committee also faced a rocky start. The confusion forced changes to the witness program. Now, the committee had planned to hear from 4 witnesses, but only 2 were accommodated, with the remaining witnesses now expected to return today. So to help us discuss what has emerged from both those settings, the Madlanga Commission and Parliament's ad hoc committee so far, we're joined by an independent crime and security expert, Prof Jacob Mofokeng, as well as legal expert Melusi Xulu. Gentlemen, thanks so much to both of you. It's a pleasure to have you with us here on Morning Live. But I just want to jump straight in. And let me start with you, Mr. Xulu. Fiery start at Madlanga Commission. Once again, as we saw on Friday, witness F, through his legal team again, indicating that he was not ready to testify. They brought an urgent court bid to try and block that testimony. And what did you make of all of that, given that there was the same sort of application brought on Friday? Is this a matter of legal safeguard, or is it just delay tactics?
Good morning to you, Sakina, David Home, and my fellow panelist, Professor. I think it's more to look at the rights of witness F with regards to self-incrimination. Hence, they also applied yesterday in High Court an urgent application to avoid the WhatsApp messages being used in the hearing. But what is important that was stipulated in the State's Capture Commission of Inquiry versus Zuma in 2021, if you remember, it was clear that if you are raising self-incrimination in terms of Section 3, subsection 4 of the Commissions Act, I think it's a 1947 Act, number 8 of 1947, it stated that you have a right to raise self-incrimination, but you must persuade the chairperson of a commission of inquiry that there is a right to be advanced, and you are actually needing a protection from self-incrimination. But if you can't persuade the chairperson, you must testify in a satisfactory manner, because if you don't do that, in terms of Section 6, subsection 1, it's going to be an offense, a criminal offense, by not answering properly and not attending to the commission of inquiry.
And that is, of course, exactly what happened, Professor Mofokeng, where we saw the chairperson and the other commissioners also impress upon Mr. Ngwato and, of course, witness F what the consequences of not complying with the Commissions Act would be. So what did you make of all of that? And also, when it comes to witnesses refusing to testify, because we saw another court application by another witness who's potentially going to be subpoenaed by the Madlanga Commission. So we seem to have entered that sort of phase in phase 2 of the commission. But what should we read into all of this?
Morning, Sakina. Morning to Mr. Xulu, as well as Morning Live viewers. I just need to make a bit of amendments now with the NISA Department of Criminology and Security Science. So, well, with what has transpired, it is truly a reflection of what General Mukhwanazi as well as Patricia Mashile indicated, either before the ad hoc committee, to say that, the South African Police Service is disintegrating from inside out. And what has transpired so far with witness F, as well as, his legal representative, it is purely abuse of the process. As, it also transpired with Karim, when he's supposed to come to be presenting his case before the commission, then he ran to the High Court. So it is really appalling, for those that, especially within the South African Police Service, with the witness F, with transpired yesterday in terms of his involvement. He seems to be, a spectator, but everything revolves around him and centers around him. And unfortunately, it just shows that people that are being trusted with, to maintain law and order. They are the ones that are now, sleeping in the same bed with those that are not supposed to, in terms of information, as well as, avoiding corruption, as well as we know that we've got a problem of, crime, as well as, high the circulations of illicit firearms. But we heard yesterday of, the amount of 750, rifles that, he facilitated. But although he denied almost everything, but, when the commissioners press onto him, then he will try then to amend what he initially said. So for witnesses now trying to run away from the commission, running to the high courts and using lawyers, it just shows that they've got money. And the question is, where do they get that kind of money? So what about ordinary South African citizens who want, service delivery, who wants to trust, the law enforcement? So, but, it just shows indeed that we are confronted with state capture too, and then, characterized not only by looting of state-owned enterprises, but the systematic infiltration of the criminal, system by cartels. So we hopefully that what Madlanga Commission has submitted so far, as well as the final report, will truly bring sanity to South Africa, where those that are implicated, the president will ensure that, by the distrust teams, as well as and those that are trusted by the Minister of Police, as well as the police commissioner, then will have to be, sent home. Because for the longest time, we have been submitting that, we are on a slippery slope. And if then with this avalanche of information provided to us, we will fail, to clean the system, then I'm not sure whether we will be afforded with another opportunity like the one that is, at play now.
Now, staying with that, Mr. Xulu, when we look at that message about the 750 firearms, that is, of course, made mention of spare parts, ammunition, the shipping readiness, a detailed pricing structure. Now, despite being a police officer, you have witness F conceding that he did not report that exchange to authorities. Why would a police officer not report a potential 11.6 million rand arms deal? Because it immediately reminded me of the Prinsloo guns and the guns that were sold to gangsters on the Cape Flats. So again, this clearly seems to be not just a conflict of interest, but something more sinister.
Yes, Sakina, it's very strange that a police officer would be arranging to assist a citizen in the country to, be able to sell firearms. And, although I'm not an expert on the quality of it, but I could see when I read and I saw the price that is, it's high quality. And, the commission actually put a question to him that how do you become part of an illegal situation where you are trying to make a deal that is illegal because you don't have proof that they actually, the person who was requesting, whether it was the former deputy president or the nephew, I did not quite get exactly what he admitted to on that, because he ended up saying it's actually not the deputy president. But the point that I'm making is the fact that we see a person assisting a citizen who doesn't have a license to be able to sell firearms in an illegal manner. So that is very, very strange. And I think the issue that I have is the fact that, we looking at the police officials to be the last line of defense for rule of law. But what we are seeing in the commission, whether it's yesterday or the other hearings that we've had, it's very concerning for the safety of the country. And I know when General Mkhwanazi started giving evidence, there was a question or questions, where is the evidence? I think the media was trying to get, okay, we hear you, General Mkhwanazi, on your testimony, but where is the evidence? Now that we have the evidence, I think we are trusting, I don't know whether I specifically the acting Minister of Police, but we are trusting the Minister of Police that is currently there to be able to make a direction on the operation for a total overhaul of the police, because we can see that there's rot, we can see that there's lack of leadership, and we need to account because, as Justice Madlanga said, when there's a criminal justice that does not have a functional criminal system, it's a problem.
And that is absolutely spot on, because that situation is endemic and systemic. So there will need to be an overhaul, but how that's going to happen is anyone's guess at this point, because this rot really runs deep, Professor Mofokeng. Coming back to the firearms and going back to the Prinsloo guns, and just a reminder for those who may have forgotten. So you had a police officer, I think he was stationed in the Vaal, Christian Prinsloo, who took these firearms that were meant to be destroyed by police and actually sold it in the main to gangsters on the Cape Flats and other parts of the Western Cape. And we know what sort of destruction that has visited on an already troubled part of the country. So we've known these narratives for quite some time. Now we're seeing more and more layers being pulled back, and here another police officer engaging again in some nefarious activity. So how do the police actually deal with this internally in terms of what they've heard so far?
You know, Sakina, I was watching ad hoc, and one of the ANC MP was, asked a question: what does it means to be politically interference? And then, well, the gentleman provided with the answer. But if you listen to the testimony by witness F, to say that he at some point he had a discussion with the late deputy president, where they exchanged information, even though he denied that the contact that he saved on his phone, it belonged to him. It just shows that a person of that low ranking within the South African Police Service having access to people at the highest level of echelons within the political arena. What does it say? So it means that indeed, it will be difficult. It will be extremely difficult to clean the system and the rot within the South African Police Service, because it has been shown that whistleblowers, they have moved to social media because they do not trust official state security agencies. We have heard of Mokhosi saying that he doesn't trust the security that will be provided to him, but also with Mashele also saying that, and then he's testifying from a particular place because he's fearing for her life as well as that of her husband. So what does it say? It says those people that are within the system that are trying to, to adhere to the code of conduct, they will be intimidated. If the minister and as well as the commissioner cannot really, pull up their socks, and unfortunately, I don't know what will happen of what is happening. So what we need to see, indeed, is it's a collaboration. If then this task team, they are starting to do investigation, any member of the public with the knowledge of any kind of corruption, they need to come forward. We understand that there are challenges of whistleblowers that are being eliminated. It happens with those that are giving evidence now to say they're hiding somewhere. We also heard of, General Sunona being somewhere, where we don't know. So what does it mean? It means that there are very powerful people who are also maybe watching for us now. So who are always analyzing and then always step ahead, but we have to stand up and really try to make South Africa to be functional.
And Mr. Xulu, just taking it to the ad hoc committee now, the National Assembly Speaker, Togo Didiza, she's refused to approve a subpoena compelling businessman Brown Mokgotsi to appear before Parliament's ad hoc committee, urging the MPs to reconsider his security demands. And he was on Face the Nation here on SABC News 2 nights ago, where he spoke to Clement Manyatela about his demands. But should Parliament actually fund private security for witnesses like Brown Mokgotsi, who was very specific in what sort of security detail he expected?
With regards to Mr. Mokgotsi, I don't know whether he has proof that he's being threatened, We remember it was 2 or 3 months back, he provided information that he was being attacked, and there was a perception that it was not really a truthful way of saying he was attacked or being shot at. I don't know how far that investigation went, because that investigation, Sakina, will be able to give us a view that there is a life-threatening attack on his life, and maybe he needs private security. But I think it's up to the Parliament to really see if they agree with the Speaker, because remember, we've seen many cases, Sakina, where the political parties in Parliament or the members of the Parliament, where they don't agree with the Speaker, they take it to court. So this is the angle that I wanted to see, that if they feel she's not doing what they feel she should do, which is subpoenaing Mokgotsi or Paul O'Sullivan, who's also in this situation, I think it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's fair, and should they use a court platform to assist them in this situation. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Mokgotsi must prove that there is a life-threatening attack on his life, and then maybe that can be seen whether he needs the private security. But without any base or any evidence of threatening on his life, I don't think it's fair for him or for anyone to say they want private security, because it will be a waste of taxpayers' money. And we need the witnesses, Sakina, to give testimony, because it's crucial that we investigate the criminality and the political interference and the corruption of the criminal justice system.
And just finally, Prof, former President Jacob Zuma back in the Pietermaritzburg High Court in connection with his long-running arms deal corruption trial to have the charges dropped after entering a not guilty plea. And this is another one that has been going on for decades. What are your thoughts on this, given that Thales have also said that the people, the protagonists at the time, have both passed on? So what do you make of this in the latest analysis?
Well, Sakina, like what you've just said, those who came with that kind of, submission or allegations against him, so probably they will not be in a position now to be able to, counter whatever that he submitted as not guilty. So, instead of really going forward, the state needs to come to, and to make a decision whether, is it worth to pursue this kind of a trial? Will there be a likelihood that they will be able to win this particular case? If not, then they need to accept it and then let it go, of what happened. So I think going forward, we are seeing that there has been a lot of wrongs in South Africa. So maybe to avoid, cases such as this, as well as what we are currently discussing, we have to put very good mechanism, monitoring, evaluations, vetting of individuals, even those that are at the highest levels. So that is the only way. But it will be just a waste of money as well as tax money to be able to pursue, President Zuma.
Well, gentlemen, thanks so much, and for indulging me to throw that last question in there as well. Professor Mofokeng from the Department of Criminology and Security Science at UNISA, and also a legal expert, Melusi Xulu, speaking to us about the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, as well as Parliament's ad hoc committee, and in the end there about Zuma, Thales and that corruption case.